to tuck your chin in a little bit. And just start to come into the present moment for class today. Maybe you start to soften your gaze and elongate your breath, bringing your attention a bit inward. And lengthening your exhales, making a bit more space for longer inhales. And as you inhale, expand. And as you exhale, soften. We'll come back to that theme a lot today. Let's go ahead and close our eyes if you feel comfortable with that. Otherwise, just soften your gaze somewhere. And we'll take 3 rounds of breath all together, beginning with a big exhale. Exhale through the mouth. Inhale through the nose. Open mouth exhale. 2 more like that. So big, long inhale through the nose. Exhale through the mouth, making some noise. Maybe you flutter your lips. Maybe it's a whatever suits you. And a second time or a last time, inhale through the nose. And exhale, making some noise. And when you're ready, you can flutter your eyes open, coming back to the space. On your next big inhale, reach up. And as you exhale, extend to your right, placing your fingertips on the floor and reaching nice and long with the left side of your body. So we'll do the same thing here, inhaling to expand and exhaling to soften. And as you release some of that tension, maybe you find that you can put your fingertips further out. Maybe you can rest your elbow on the ground. Anything to get a nice stretch and release through the left side body without your hip coming up off the ground. If that's happening, then just back off a little bit. So big inhales to expand and exhale. We release and soften. Next inhale, come back up to center. My next inhale will reach up. And then again on the opposite side, so dropping the left. Exhale, reaching with the right side body. Inhaling to expand, shining your heart upwards toward the sky. And exhaling, we soften and release. Keep doing that for a couple rounds of breath. Really breathing into all corners of your body. And on your exhale, imagining all tension just melting away through your side body. Inhale, come back up through center, through neutral. Next inhale, we'll reach up nice and long again, rooting down through your sits bones. And as you exhale, use the strength of your back to twist to the right side, using your left hand for leverage on your right knee. Inhale, expand. And as you ground down into the floor, reach up nice and long through your crown. And as you exhale, softening and twisting a little bit further to the right. So as you inhale, you expand through the body, breath making its way down into the abdomen. And as you exhale, softening, releasing, twisting to the right. Inhale, release that, come back up through center, reach, reach, reach. And as you exhale, twisting to the left, placing your right hand and your left hand down, a little bit of leverage on your left knee. Inhale, expand through your body with your breath. Exhale, soften, release to twist further to your left, looking over your left shoulder. Inhale, expand. Exhale, soften and twist. Inhale, coming back up through center and exhaling, letting that go. Let's consciously move, making our way into hands and knees, or tabletop. So your hands are spread out nice and wide. Your fingertips are pressing actively in the floor. Your wrists are directly under your shoulder. Let's inhale, shine the heart forward, drop the belly button, reach the tailbone up. Call this cow. And as we exhale, we'll lift the navel, reverse that arch. So bringing the navel up and into the spine as we look up under into our belly buttons. And this is cat. So reversing, taking the duration of your inhale to move through your spines, wherever you're at today, version of cow. And then following the pace of your own breath cues when you're ready to exhale, slowly making your way to your body's version of cat. Keeping in mind that our bodies might be stiff. Every day we come to the mat with a little bit different flexibility, different strength, different stuff on our mind. And really do whatever you need to do to warm up your spine. So if that means taking some organic movement to maybe twist from side to side with your breath, or doing some hip and neck rolls in conjunction with your breath, really take this opportunity to give your back whatever it is that it's calling for today. And then start to settle back into neutral tabletop. Bring your hands out just a little bit further than your shoulders, and then make some pretty big or small hip circles. So you're imagining your femur where it attaches into your hip. Your pelvis is just kind of moving, rolling over the tops of your femurs. So you might feel some tension in certain areas. You might hear some cracking. Everything is fine. You maybe want to take really low or spend more time moving forward with your hips. Reverse directions at some point. And just take note of what you're feeling. There's no right or wrong sensation in this practice, unless it's pain. If it's pain, then back off of what you're doing. Discomfort is one thing, pain is another. Learn to recognize the difference for your body. All right, and now that we've gotten our hips nice and warmed up, with our hands extended forward, inhale the right arm up into the air as you twist to shine your shoulders and your heart upwards. And as you exhale, thread the needle so your right arm is going between your left leg and your left arm. Rest on your shoulder. And bring that same conscious breath into this pose. So inhale, expand through your torso. And exhale, soften and release. You can use the floor with your left hand for a little bit of leverage if you want to increase your twist. Inhale to expand. And exhale to twist. Also pressing up with your left hand, coming back up to all fours, with the hands extended out in front of us. This time you'll inhale, left arm will reach up towards the sky, heart reaches up as well. And as you exhale, bringing that left arm through your right hand and knee, resting on your left shoulder, expanding through your inhales, and softening into your twist with your exhales. And as you soften, if it feels good, you can press into the floor with your right hand a little bit. Inhale, expand. Exhale, soften and twist. Coming back up through center. Spread your fingertips and push them strongly into the ground. Tuck your toes. Lift your knees up off the mat. Here you want to really pull your lower belly button into your spine. So that support is so good for your back in general. That action of pulling your navel in really supports your low back. So we'll use that muscle to propel us backwards into downward facing dog as we strongly push the floor away with our hands. And go ahead and pedal out your feet, stretching through the back body, through the hamstrings. Oftentimes they're really tight when we get to this point in our practice, or they can be at least. And you can also wag your tail back and forth in downward dog. So warming up the side body again, stretching. And then start to find some stillness. And whether your downward dog is knees really bent or knees straightened with your heels touching the ground, really the action I want you to focus on here is pressing the floor away from you and reaching with your heels towards the ground. Make sure you have a nice stretch through the back of the legs, but nothing that could be labeled pain. Big inhale through the nose. Big noisy breath through the mouth. Inhale up to the balls of your feet and just take little steps, little baby steps to the middle of your mat. So we're in our first forward fold. This one I want you to focus more so than on having your hips really high, really crease through your hips so you can feel if you put your fingers right at your hip points. Get your fingers as smushed in there as possible so your torso is as close to the tops of your legs as possible. You might have to bend your knees quite a bit. That's fine. And then allow your upper body to fold forward over your knees. Shake your head yes, no. So your neck is nice and loose. You can clasp opposite arms and gently sway from side to side. Allowing the weight of our spine to just spill forward out of our pelvis and down to the ground. So we're using gravity as our friend here to create a lot of spaciousness in the back. So those of us with back pain probably most of the time suffer least first thing in the morning because your back stretches out while you're laying down or in this kind of position as well. And then it's stacked and pressured all day while you're sitting. So this is a lovely pose for people who have back pain. And then bend your knees and slowly roll up. Really take your time, one vertebrae at a time. So see if you can notice all sections of your spine as you roll up. So increasing our full body awareness as we practice. Great. Let's come to, I'll just face you guys for a second. About feet a little bit wider than hips width apart, and just gently swing your hands from side to side. You can bend your knees and sway your hips too, if that feels good. Just kind of looks a little funny, but warming up the spine. Again, just allowing our hands to kind of gently pat ourselves as we're twisting back and forth. It's good for the hips, good for the spine. Just increasing our mobility in general and our back flexibility. Flexibility has a lot to do with back health. All right, release that. Let's come to roughly the front of our mat and have our feet about hips width distance apart. So that's easiest to measure by putting your two fists together and then put those between your two big toes. So feet are aligned with the sides of our mats. Heels grounding down into the floor as our crown floats up into the sky. So that nice long line, fingertips reaching towards the earth. You're actively pressing with your legs into the ground. Mountain pose. Inhale the arms up as we look straight forward. And then exhale, take a little back bend, shine your heart up towards the sky. Inhale, straight up, look forward. Exhale, heart shines up. Shoulder blades squeeze together and down the back. Inhale, look forward. Last time, exhale, heart shines up, shoulder blades squeeze together and down. Great job. This time, inhale the arms up. And as we exhale, we'll fold forward, hinging at the hips into a nice forward fold. Knees can still be bent here always. You also have the option of using props if you use them at home. We're gonna do a couple of these. So inhaling, hand comes to shins or block, heart shines forward, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, heart shines forward, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. One more. Inhale, halfway lift. And exhale, forward fold. Plant the hands. Step your feet all the way back into plank. Check yourself. So if your hips are up or down, just kind of find your nice middle line. So you're reaching down through your heels, straight line out through the top of your crown, unbroken line. Big inhale. And as you exhale, lower all the way down to the ground. Great job. Elbows pinned to your sides. Inhale. Use the strength of your back to lift yourself up into low cobra. So you can pick your hands up right off the ground. We're trying to strengthen through the back. Shoulder blades squeeze together, slide down the spine. Inhale, inhale, and exhale. Release. Release all the way through the body so you're fully relaxed. Moving into a little bit more of a stretching pose. Bring your elbows directly under your shoulders, hands are out in front of you. Use your hands to grip the floor and pull your heart forward and up. So your heart is moving in a forward and upward trajectory as your hands and your elbows are pulling back towards your toes. Big inhale. Lift your navel up into your spine to protect your low back. And exhale, release. Great job, you guys. And then come up, hands on either side of the chest, tuck your toes, come up through half plank or full plank, and everybody meet in downward facing dog. 3 rounds of breath here, in through the nose, expand. Exhale, soften, pressing the floor away from you. Inhale through the nose, expand. Exhale, soften. This time coming up to the balls of your feet. See if you can take 2 big steps to the front of your mat. This time, inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, reverse swan dive with a flat back all the way up. Reach up, look up. Exhale, hands to heart center. We'll move right into it. Inhale, arms come up. Exhale, sit back into your chair pose. So like you're reaching for a seat behind you with your bum. If you can't see your toes, reach even further with your bum behind you so your knees drag back in space. Inhale, shine the heart up, pull in your navel, protect your lower back. And exhale, forward fold. Beautiful. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, plant the hands. Step the feet back. Plank. Come all the way down into low cobra, or stop at chaturanga, shine the heart forward. Exhale, roll over your toes or move through back to downward facing dog. Press the floor away from you strongly with your arms. Reach down to the floor with your heels. Navel is lifted. Expand as you inhale. Soften where you can, release tension. Anything that doesn't need to be working should be softening. Maybe through the jaw. Fluttering the lips is a good way to release tension in the jaw. Inhale, come up to the balls of your feet. You can do the tippy tap walk, 2 steps, or you can bend your feet, look where you want to go, and jump to the front of your mat. Totally fine if you crash. It's just a fun practice. Inhale, halfway lift, reach with your heart. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, reverse swan dive. All the way up, reach up, look up. Exhale, hands to heart center. Let's inhale the hands up again. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, plant the hands. Step your left foot all the way back to the mat. And then lower your left knee down to the mat. So we're gonna come up into low lunge. So you wanna make sure your knee isn't forward of your heel, it's just above it. And what I really want us to focus on here is stretching through the front of the left hip. So in order to do that, you're gonna wanna engage your left buttock and your left hamstring, so the back body. And when you do that, you should feel more intensity through the stretch through the front of your left leg, through your front hip, through your quadricep. And that will give you a nice strong foundation to reach the arms up. Exhale, shine the heart upwards. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, slight back bend. Inhale, reach up. Hands come down to the ground. Switch your footing so that you're now leaning on your back knee. Your right foot is flexed in Hanumasana or runner's pose. You might have to bend your knees a fair amount in this, depending on how tight you are through the hamstrings. You might also need to come up onto some sort of prop to brace yourself up a little bit higher off the ground. This can be a very intense stretch, but your hamstrings play a big role in lower back pain, which is what we're trying to address here. So inhaling, expanding, exhaling, softening through any tension that you're feeling here. Inhale, expand. Exhale, soften. Inhale, come forward. Bring both of your hands on the inside of your right leg and walk your right foot to the outer edge of your mat. So your knees are actually kind of wide apart. And then just go ahead and rock your hips back and forth from left to right, using that same expansion and softening breath to address any tightness you might be feeling around your inner outer hips on either leg. So inhaling, expanding. Exhaling, softening, melting, releasing. And then from here, you can start to lower down to the mat. You can either stay here if that's more than enough of a stretch for you. You can lower onto your elbows or onto your forehead, or use some kind of prop modification. Just continuing with that, inhaling to expand. Exhale, soften, melt, release, let go. Inhale, expand. Exhale to soften. Again, anytime you feel anything that's remotely like pain, back off until there's a point where you don't feel it. Don't feel the pain, rather. Discomfort is one thing, pain is another. Slowly coming back up. Walking the right foot back in. Tuck your left foot under. Send the right foot back and then move through a vinyasa. So lowering all the way down to low cobra, or allowing the heart come through. Upward facing dog. Everyone meeting in downward facing dog. Big inhale through the nose. Big exhale through the mouth. Pressing the floor away, lifting through the low navel to support our lower back. Stretching through the back of the legs. Inhale up to the balls of your feet. Tippy tap, step or jump to the front of your mat. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, reverse swan dive all the way up. Reach up, look up. Exhale, hands to heart center. Inhale, arms come up. Exhale, sit back in your chair. Again, looking down. If you can't see your toes, bring your hips backwards in space. Inhale, heart up. Inhale, navel in. And exhale, soften, coming down to forward fold. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, plant your hands. This time, stepping your right leg back. Lower your right knee. And then again, we're going to focus on squeezing through the back body. So your right glute, your right hamstring, really engaging those so that you're feeling the stretch. Nice, strong stretch through the front of the hips and down through your quads. This should give you a pretty strong, stable foundation here too in the lunge. So inhaling, the arms come up. Exhale, shine the heart upwards, opening through the chest, squeeze the shoulder blades together and down. Inhale, up. Exhale, expand. Inhale, reach. Hands come down to the floor. Press yourself back into Hanumasana. So again, any modifications you need to make here to meet yourself wherever you're at today. Maybe your knee is bent. Again, you can use blocks, some combination of whatever feels good here. And really allowing this to be an active stretch. So your leg is nice and engaged, feet are flexed, and you're using your breath to melt any resistance that your body might be having. So inhaling to expand, exhaling to melt, release, soften. Inhaling to expand, exhaling to soften. Do one more round of that. Exhale, release, soften. Coming back to the front of the mat, shifting your weight, bring both hands on the inside of your left leg. Heel toe your left leg out to the edge of the mat. Nice wide knees, untuck your right toe. And then just go ahead and shift your weight. Play around with shifting your weight back and forth. See what you notice about your body, where it's at today, what it needs from you. What's going on with those lovely hips of yours? How can you support them to support you? Using that expand and soften to get at any of the tension you might be having in your hips. Sending them love. And then starting to find stillness, again, using whatever modification makes sense for you. Coming down, lowering, or staying exactly where you are to the mat, the blocks. Noticing that one side might be pretty different than the other, and that's really okay. That's just information to work with. Not forcing anything. Again, if there's anything in any part of your practice, whether with me or anyone, moving back away from anything that is pain, finding that threshold between discomfort of growing versus pushing too hard into the zone of pain. Expanding with your inhales, softening with your exhales. Maybe introducing some sound with your breath. I love to do the flutter lips. Other people love the ha or whatever feels good to you. And then slowly backing out of that. Heel toeing your left foot in, lifting your right leg nice and strong, stepping the left foot back and moving through your version of flow. I'm going to do chaturanga to upward facing dog, and then rolling over the feet Kneeling back in downward facing dog, again, lifting through the navel, support the lower back, pressing the floor away with the hands. Inhale, expand, and exhale, soften, noticing if your version of downward dog is any different than it was when you first started class. Totally fine if it's not. Even if it's exactly the same, that's cool. Inhaling, come up to the balls of your feet. Exhaling, tippy tap steps or jumping, front of the mat. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, reverse swan dive all the way up. Reach up, look up. Exhale, hands to heart center. Pause for a moment here without adjusting anything regarding your physical body or making adjustments to your mental weather system or emotional weather system. Just spend a sweet moment with yourself. Noticing whether there's anything that's useful for you in this practice to carry forward. Maybe there's not, but maybe there is. And when you're ready, letting that go. And then come back to your center-ish of your mat, and we'll do a couple of balancing poses. So starting with your feet hips width apart again, so rooting down through your heels, allowing that rooting sensation to be what drives your upper half of your body and your crown upward in space. Ribs are into your body, so we're not splaying our ribs out like this. Our ribs are integrated. Tailbone reaching down, navel in to support your low back. Keeping with the theme of today's practice, back support. Reach down. As you inhale, rise up through the crown. And as you exhale, slowly start to shift the weight into one of your feet so that the opposite foot just comes right off the ground. Check in with that rooting and rising sensation. Bring awareness to the front of your hips. So remember in our low lunge, we were engaging through the glute and the back of the leg to really support the front body. Do that again. And then we'll move through into tree pose. So you have a couple options, either starting with your toe on the floor. You can have your shin and your toe on your below your knee, or your whole foot above your knee. So anything but on your knee is totally fine. So as my video is a little bit dark, but hopefully you can see this, as you're pressing your foot into your inner thigh, press your inner thigh back into your foot. So there's this nice moving towards the center line motion. Stabilizing your balance, hopefully. If not, that's okay. And then deciding where you want your tree branch arms. So it's fine if you're falling in and out of this pose. The practice of coming to the mat and trying to balance is good enough, really. Shoulder blades squeeze together and back. If you'd like to move into different kinds of arms, there's all sorts of variations you can work with. Taking a big inhaling, expanding deep breath. Softening anything that doesn't need to be working. So coming back to maybe releasing your jaw, releasing your shoulders. And then slowly with control, releasing your right foot if you have your right foot lifted. And then lowering that down to the ground. And then we'll start immediately in on the opposite foot. So rooting down through the heels, rising up, using that downward force to shoot us up through the crown. Energy through the arms, slowly shifting our weight into the opposite foot. For me, that's the right foot. So that my left foot just comes right off the floor. And checking back in with my standing legs, so squeezing through my right glute, squeezing through my right hamstring, so a lot of strength supporting my foundation here. And then deciding where we want to put our tree branch, whether toes are touching on the ground, below the knee, heel below the knee, or toes above the knee. And then squeezing with the legs towards the center line. So my standing leg pressing into my foot pressing into my standing leg. Using that dynamic tension to help me rise up through my crown, softening anywhere that doesn't need to be efforting. So allowing my shoulders to come down and back, softening through the jaw, keeping my ribs integrated into my body, maybe adjusting the arms if you'd like. Maybe coming in and out of this pose a bunch of times. Doesn't matter. And then slowly with control, making your way out of tree. And when you land, again, closing your eyes and pausing for a moment to just spend a sweet moment with yourself. Expanding with every inhale and softening with every exhale. When you're ready, you can release that. It's nice to spend sweet moments with ourselves. So let's come back to our mat the long ways. And actually, yeah, we'll reach the arms up, lower down through a squat. So squat, 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 but we're gonna go all the way to the ground. So taking this as a little extra time, using your hands to soften as you sit back. And find a way to have your legs out in front of you. You can point your arms behind you towards the head side of your mat. And then just kind of shift your knees from right to left. You might notice, again, that you have pretty different experience on either side. That's fine. And then coming up to on your sits bones. So again, you can move the fleshy part of your behind out of the way if you want to sit on them real good. And then with your feet firmly planted on the ground, reach out with your fingertips and slowly engaging your navel as you roll back down to the floor. Nice and slow. So we'll do a little bit of floor work here. Starting with upside down ekapada, upside down pigeon. So bringing your foot, let's start with the right foot. Put your ankle just under your left knee. Now this might be enough of a stretch for you. In upside down pigeon, you might be able to clasp behind your left thigh or even your left shin. Anywhere is fine. Just make sure you're relaxing with every out breath, expanding with every inhale. Imagine anywhere you need to soften, melting the resistance with your breath. Let's make sure, just like I didn't have my left foot engaged there, engage your left foot so that it's flexed as well, and your right foot, so working on a bit of full body awareness. Inhaling to expand. Exhaling to soften. You might feel some great pressure in the left side of your low back as your femur, gravity is taking your femur towards the ground. Inhale, expand. Exhale, soften, release, relax, let go. Inhale, expand. Exhale to soften. And slowly coming off of that, you can keep your right leg crossed over your knee and your arms out to either a T or cactus, like we've been doing. And then twist so that your hips and your legs are moving over to the left side. You might need to adjust your hips. And if that's too much of a stretch for your outer hips, you can uncross your legs and just take whatever shape feels good. As you're laying into this twist, looking over your right shoulder, expanding into the torso with your breath, and softening with your out breath, imagining your breath sweeping away any tension in your back, maybe in your chest, in your hips, your glutes, wherever you might be feeling it today. Big inhales to expand, big exhales to soften. Really allowing this to be as restful of a pose as it can be. And slowly uncrossing, moving back towards the center. Maybe take a moment to let both of your, spread your feet apart wide on the mat and allow your knees to collapse towards the center. Take a breath here, expand, soften. Planting your right foot on the ground, cross your left ankle over top of that. You can either stay here if this is a nice stretch for you, reach up and grab your thigh, or across to your shin, gently pulling that, if it feels good, or just resting here, your left ankle towards your right shoulder. Expanding as you inhale. And softening as you exhale, letting go, releasing whatever it is that works for you. Maybe it's the visual of breath as wind or water chipping away at resistance in certain muscles on your body. Sending that breath to erode the tension and bringing a little activity back to our feet. So flexing through the right foot and the left foot, working on full body awareness. Inhaling to expand, exhaling to soften. Noticing if you feel that pressure of gravity pulling your femur towards the ground. Maybe there's a little bit of pressure in the back of your hip that hopefully feels good. Noticing your right low back flattening out on the ground. Inhale, expand. Exhale, soften and twist further. So left knee is over top of right. Arms are in cactus or T. And slowly bring your hips and your toes down to the ground as you look over your left shoulder this time. Really allowing this to be as passive as possible. Again, if this is too much, uncross the legs and move into something that feels a little more comfortable for you. Inhaling, expanding through the torso. Exhaling, softening through the shoulder, the mid, the low back, the hips. Inhale, expand. Exhale, soften, release, let go, melt, erode. That imagery of wind or water, if that works for you. Maybe taking a noisy breath or two, if that feels good. And slowly coming untwisted. We'll move right into Shavasana. If there's another pose your body wants to take before that, feel free. Otherwise, go ahead and extend your legs and your arms out beside you. If this still feels uncomfortable for your low back, you can take something like a pillow or a block and put it under your upper thighs, and that'll release tension in your lower back. And start to melt into this pose, expand with every breath, and continue to soften with every out breath. Really allowing this to be ultimately the most passive pose. I'll run us through a quick guided meditation to release different parts of the body, but by all means, if you'd rather just blast off with your mind, go right ahead. Using the power of imagery, imagine your hair, and if you could relax every hair follicle on your head, what might that feel like? Relax through your skull and your brain so that your brain is gently resting on the back of your skull. Soften through your eye sockets so that your eyeballs can sink just a little bit deeper, resting so gently. Melt any tension across your forehead, in your temples, between your eyebrows, around your cheeks and your nose, through your jaw. Allow all of that to soften down towards the floor. Soften around your throat and the back of your neck. Soften over your shoulders and your upper back, down your upper arms. Soften your inner elbows and your forearms. Soften through your wrists and your palms and your fingertips. Soften through your chest and your abdominal area. So all of the organs in your abdominal cavity are just relaxing, melting downwards towards your spine, towards the floor, gently resting. Relax through your mid and your low back, through the sides of your body. Relaxing all around your hips, through your pelvic bowl, so anything below your navel. Relaxing the fronts of your hips, the sides and the backs, all around your hip socket. Soften your glutes and behind your legs and your hamstrings, behind the soft parts of your knee. Soften over the front of your quads, through your upper knee and your shins. Soften through your calves and your ankles, through the arches of your feet, and through all of your toes. If your whole body could just melt into a puddle, just 10% more, what exactly would that feel like to you? If your mind has started to wander, gently start to bring it back towards the sound of my voice, maybe towards the sounds in the room that you're in. Guide your senses towards the feeling of the floor under your skin. So the sensation of being a body lying on a surface. And then start to notice the sensation of your breath. So maybe that's your breath moving in and out of your nose, or your chest or your belly, gently rising and falling. Wiggle your fingers and your toes, and then gently and slowly turn over onto your right side. And use the strength of your left hand to slowly and sweetly, with care, bring yourself back up to your comfortable seated position, maintaining either your eyes closed or some internal focus. Maybe that's just a soft gaze. Bring your hands to your knees or your laps, either palms down or palms up, whatever feels the most sweet to you. Take another, what we called it earlier, a sweet moment with yourself. Just expand with your inhale and soften with your exhale. Bring your hands to heart center. Remember this feeling of peace and easefulness, and hopefully you'll be able to bring it with you throughout your day. So bow in gratitude. Thank you for practicing. Thank yourself for practicing. Namaste.